He kept repeating the phrase, poisoning the blood of our country.
And they are. Oops. Did I say that? I think I did. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back. I'm Van, and we are all the LFR family. Thank you so much for clicking play. Hopefully, you click the like button as well. Okay, I got a new joint that I want to check out with you all, but I want you all to watch this entirely, though, all the way through. All right, so what we're going to see is a conversation between Vivek Ramaswamy and the Breakfast Club crew. That's DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God. Now, before we go into this, I want y'all to understand something. In this conversation, it's not going to be a whole bunch of, okay, you listen, then I respond, and I listen and you respond. It is going to be one-sided, but you have to realize they're coming from different perspectives, different levels of education, different IQs once you really pay attention to it. And because the perspectives are a little different, one side, being that is a little lower in IQ and maturity, is going to continue to press the issue and not really be there for the conversation as a whole. Now, if you think that you are clicking on this video because you want to listen to another Vivek fan that's going to agree with everything that he says, you've clicked on the wrong video, okay? I'm here simply to be able to establish that objectivity, that objective conversation between the two of these guys. So if I hear something that Charlamagne says that I agree with, that I would definitely break it down from my perspective, or Vivek's. If I hear something from Vivek that I appreciate and understand, I'm gonna do the same thing. But I want y'all to check this out with me and be as objective as possible, okay? All right, because this was a really good conversation that they had. I really enjoyed it. All right, let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments.
And at a certain point, we're going to have to look 360 degrees across the board and say, all right, we're all laying down arms. We're going to agree to be one nation. We're going to agree to disagree on the issues where we disagree most profoundly, to say that we are still going to be bound by a common set of principles as Americans. Take abortion, right? This is one where they say there's going to divide the country to a breaking point. I've stood for policy, and it's a mystery to me. I'm the only Republican who has advocated for this. I think it's a winner politically, but I think it's also the right thing to do. They say, okay, you can't find common ground on abortion. How about this one? Tell me, we got three guys here at the table. Let's talk from man to man on this. I think that if a woman brings a child to term...
This is what you at. You up because it's three men, and you're saying you're having a conversation about women.
Now, here's Charlamagne the God believing that he already know what he's about to say. So he's jumping in there like, okay, you want to start talking about women, and we don't have any women in the conversation, so you're wrong. So this is where you're messing up. Nah, just listen for a minute, young man. Just listen for a minute, young buck. Now, I know he's not young, but mentally, in comparison to Vivek, he kind of is. Now, I know Charlamagne is educated too, but unfortunately, it takes some adults for this conversation right here, young man. So I need you to listen. And I want y'all to see how he breaks this down. I'll tell y'all what I think about it in a moment. We have been teaching people how to grow online. It's been absolutely amazing. We have 3 people who have been able to reach monetization in less than 30 days. Growing YouTube channels, some from 0 people. We have one guy who had 2 subscribers before he started working with me. He started helping him. His views went up 4.8 million%. We're super excited. If anybody ever want to grow on YouTube, you reach out to me with the word coach. Okay, let's go.
You should be bringing the women to the table. This is why the shit you're talking about the founding fathers is some bullshit.
Let him
You
talk.
got a bunch of men, you got a bunch of white men trying to make policies for a bunch of diverse groups.
No. Most women here like what I'm about to say. Most men don't.
You got 2 women right there. Ask them.
We have actually, and we've had a conversation. I think you may be worried about what I'm about to say, which is that I think if a woman brings a child to term, she should be able to make the man financially responsible for both her and the child if she does it. Period. And that should be the law of the land.
That happens though.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen today. Not in the.
He said that happens. Come on, Charlamagne. He said that if a man impregnates a woman, all right, if he impregnates a woman and they have that baby, then that man should be financially and fiscally responsible for that woman and the child all the way until it's 18 years old. All right? Nobody's doing that now. Even when you look at child support. In child support, the court systems sometimes make sure that the man pay enough for the woman and the child, but for the most part, he's paying for the child that he left behind and not for the woman. Okay, let's go.
Not to the scale I'm talking about. Full
That's what
financial.
child support is.
It's you do 50-50. You got 40% for the man. I'm talking about 100%. So it's 2x over. He's fully responsible for the woman and fully responsible for the child.
She has to
Because
he
her
has to fully
responsibility, she took 9 months to actually bring the child to term. If it's confirmed with a genetic paternity test. So right now, today, 40
Until
years
18,
ago,
he has full responsibility until the child's 18.
absolutely, and full responsibility for the woman during that time.
I don't think that's bad.
I don't think it's bad either.
Yeah.
Because I think that
Come on, my internet is interneting.
part of the criticism of Republicans is, oh, you're just throwing women under the bus. I say, that's a fair criticism. Let's actually take that seriously and say we're all in this together. If you believe that unborn
I think
life
most
is
women would
life,
agree with that. I think most women would say, "Oh, you." So
most women absolutely
they would say,
would
"Oh, so
agree
you paying
with
for the
that.
child and for me?" Yes.
Most women would agree with that,
A lot of
right?
men- a lot of
And
men
that's
can't
not
afford that
and
with-
that's not the state of well,
afford that.
but then men should think about that on the front end. That's the whole point. Because women can't afford that either. That's the whole
Boom.
this gets to the heart of the
That's
abortion
not a bad
debate.
point.
You can't
This gets
afford
to
that.
the heart of the
If somebody
abortion
that
But
debate.
what he's saying is, you should think about that on the front end.
Exactly.
Put your
That's the
condom
whole
on.
point.
Remember when Young Thug was like, "Yo, if you broke, shouldn't be having babies."
Yeah, but
Exactly.
Now, here's Charlemagne. Charlemagne is starting to understand what he's saying. At first, he didn't fully understand what he's saying. And now he's picking up what he's saying. He's saying that if you're going to bring a life into this world, take it more seriously. That's it. That's it. All right. And we get that situations happen and there are accidents that occur. But for the most part, most people that are having babies aren't having them from accidents. They are having sex without any rubbers or prophylactics or any type of, prevention. And next thing you know, they having a baby. And then their option is, so what you going to do? You going to keep it? Because we do have another option. You can go ahead down to that clinic and I can pay for it right quick. You know what I mean? We can act like it never happened and do it all over again, wash, rinse, repeat. I know people who've done it over and over and over again with the same people. So that does happen, but I'm glad that he brought this conversation to them so that they can take it seriously and see what's going on.
But things
Thank
happen
you.
that don't. But things
Thank you
happen
for
that don't
hearing
work
this.
out. If you think it's going to work out, and it obviously doesn't now, a man
If
that's
it's
making
confirmed by-
$40,000 a year, you want him to pay for the woman and the child?
That's not the wildest thing I've heard you say.
Because she's actually got 9 months of carrying the child. So this is when I'm talking back about the project of uniting the country. I don't know if that's a Republican idea, Democratic idea, or whatever. But right now, one of the criticisms is, and one of the things I believe as a leader, you talked about being a leader. What does a leader do? One of the things a leader does is listen to the best arguments for the other side, understand them deeply, and then give the best possible response to that you can. I had an 11th grade teacher. She taught me, if you can't state the best argument for the other side, you don't know what you actually believe yourself. And I think that that's true. And here on this question, the best argument for the other side is, how are you only putting this responsibility on women to say, okay, you stand for life and all of that, but how come that only falls on the woman? My answer is it shouldn't. So nature has made a decision, and some people will be offended at us saying this, but
Child support
only
is
women
kicking
have
a lot of men's ass
only
out here.
women have children. Okay, I believe that's a biological fact. Some people may disagree with that. But if you have 2 X chromosomes, you have children. But we're going to do everything we can to even that responsibility out by saying that if the man is making a sexual decision, it's not just the woman that's responsible for that. The man actually pays for the woman and the child for the next 18 years.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah. So
can't
I'm
say
giving you
that
an
I'm not mad at
example, though. The same thing we're bringing up with the FBI.
Man can't afford that.
Let me tell you something though. The one downside of this that I can think of is that there's some shiesty women out there. There's a whole bunch of women out there who set men up and get pregnant on purpose. And the man thought that, oh man, I didn't know you was in there poking holes in my condoms. What the hell? And the next thing you know, she got what she wanted. She don't have to pay no bills, baby, because that's what women in the hood do right now. And I don't know if women in all hoods do this. White, black, Hispanic, probably they are all the same with the hood mentality. But they get pregnant so that they can live off of a check. So that won't be much of a difference. It really won't. They will still be living off of a check.
Recognize, now, don't say the FBI wasn't racist or whatever 60 years ago. It was. But acknowledge that same institution that we're
Nobody's saying it's
celebrating at the
not.
J. Edgar Hoover building, how do we suddenly believe that somehow it's immune from corruption today? And so I think part of what's happened in this country is our partisan goggles have gotten so far in the way of us actually just having a conversation amongst citizens without the black label or the white label or the red label or the blue label and just say, actually, let's have a conversation among citizens where there's almost a certain guilt, right? Like if you're among your liberal friends in New York City and you're saying something that Donald Trump said, but you're also saying the same thing about the border or whatever, you have to be guilty and flog yourself for saying it. Just forget about the guilt and just locate what are our actual principles. And I think I come back to two basic ones that unite us as Americans. The people we elect to run the government should run the government, not the bureaucracy. Those elected leaders owe a moral duty to the citizens of this country, not the citizens of Ukraine or another one. And oh, by the way, we all get to express and speak our minds freely and in the open. Whether or not we disagree, you get to speak your mind, and you do, and I do too, as long as each of us gets the same right in return. I think those are basic rules of the road that most of us, 90% of us in this country, agree on. And
Trump doesn't agree with that, though. Trump already said he wants to shut the media down for speaking about him if he becomes president again. I
think that here's what I've noticed happening in the country. I've had a front row seat to the media, okay, for the last year. Believe me, 12 of them follow me around everywhere I've gone for a long time. We do interviews at the end of every day, and I've granted more, media access or press access than anybody else for full transparency. Actually, we become friends with some of them, young people, actually. Not the people who are their bosses up the chain. I think a lot of them have lost their way, but the young people, 22 years old, who have, earnestly got a job, think they're actually doing a good job. Several of them actually I became personally quite friendly with, and I expect to remain friends with over the course of life. And the best ones, I think, aren't going to end up even staying in media. Are you about to make an
excuse as to why Trump wants to shut the media down?
No, I'm going to tell you something else. Is what I've seen happen is, because I get questions on this regularly. Trump will say something. There will be one word they pick out. Vermin was the one. They followed me around about that for a week. What do you think about the Donald Trump called his opponents vermin? And it's a whole game that the media plays where they will.
And here's the thing. This part right here is so foolish, where they're going to say that he was quoting word for word the Nazi. What was his daggone name? What was his name?
Quoting Hitler.
He was quoting Hitler. They saying that what he was saying over and over again is that Trump was going into one of Hitler's speeches and placing a couple of lines verbatim from one of Hitler's speeches into one of his speeches or into a lot of them. So a lot of people's like, look at this dude. He's quoting Hitler. This dude is quoting Hitler. I don't care how good of a person he is. He's quoting Hitler. But Vivek is going to break it down that that's not what he was doing. That's what y'all are trying to make it out to seem like he's doing, but that's not what he was doing.
They will pick one word he says and then actually have you respond to it, as opposed to taking
actually quoting
the
Hitler.
actual. But the obsession over picking some word that Donald Trump said.
He was quoting. And Vivek is actually speaking against it right now because he don't even know what quote he's talking about. And also Charlemagne the God also don't know what quote, but because that's the word in the street, he's about to be forced to find that quote, and watch how Vivek breaks it down and make him look foolish again.
Quoting
and
Hitler.
Making that the news story versus actually asking about the substance. Right? I mean, Charlemagne, I think I saw some of your own commentary recently where you agree with me on the border being a crisis. And it's ridiculous what's happening on the southern border.
What got to do with anything?
What did he say? What did he say that quoted Hitler? Let's actually just go to the specifics. Let's just go to the specifics and do this, because this is exactly what happened. Oh boy! Pull it up word for word. Read me the whole paragraph. What comes before, during, and after. I don't even know what you're referring to, but I know enough of how the game is played that I just want to play this out.
And he also said that he didn't know Hitler had used the term.
Okay,
and that was the poisoning the blood term. That's straight out of the manifesto.
Just because somebody says a word that also appears in some English translation of the manifesto is some sort of weird game of gotcha. Just read to me the full paragraph block
quote. You're saying
quote.
Immigrants poison the blood of America?
No. Give me Donald Trump's quote. We're not going to do the game of the secondhand, NBC News distillation of it. Just get to the primary source.
Hold on.
Because I know Donald Trump, and he's not somebody who goes around quoting Adolf Hitler. It's just not a thing that happens. I know half this country is taught to believe by the media that that's what he does, but that's just not Donald Trump.
I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into our country. When they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country, Trump told the crowd at a rally in New Hampshire. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. And he kept repeating the phrase, poisoning the blood of our country.
And they are. Oops. Did I say that? I think I did.
Can you just do me one favor? Because we got it. I think this is so valuable. Just read exactly Trump's quote. Read the whole sentence.
Illegal immigration is poisoning the blood of our nation.
Okay, and read the rest of it as you did. Just go the whole paragraph because I think.
did.
Just do one more time, just so everybody hear what he actually said versus the news story.
The term blood poisoning was used by Hitler
No,
in his
read what Donald Trump said, not what somebody wrote about it.
He criticized immigration and the mixing of all races. Trump is doing the exact same thing.
They're poisoning the mental health institutions. They're poisoning the prisons.
Said poisoning the blood of our country.
That was one line from a broader litany.
That's Hitler's line.
And so I'll tell you this, man. I went to the south side of Chicago in this campaign against the advice of my campaign advisors because they said, why are you going there in the middle of a primary? I'm running to unite the country. You know what they're doing in Chicago right now, or at least at the time I went there? They were converting South Shore High School, a poor high school on the south side of Chicago, into an encampment for migrants who are in this country illegally at a cost of $7,000 per migrant per month.
Absolutely. That happened in New York a couple years ago.
There were things said in the room that I was in that were far more incendiary than what you just read right there. And I don't hold it against the people who were in that room with me because America First includes all Americans. And I think it is dead wrong that we are rewarding mass numbers of people who have entered this country illegally, breaking the law as they do it, coming in by the millions, and rewarding them more than we are our own fellow citizens right here at home.
You'll get
and
no
so
disagreement.
that's a major problem affecting people, black and white, Democrat and Republican, poor and middle class across this country. And yet we're sitting here obsessing over one word in a long paragraph that said poison the blood when it included a reference to mental health institutions and jails and other public resources in the United States. That is everything that's wrong with our media right now.
And
I think that it's going to be people like you guys who are actually going to help lead the media out of this because you are actually not beholden by the same partisan orthodoxy.
But when you got a guy who
let's talk about the actual substance, about what we need to address.
It's hard to when you got a guy who said he wants.
You're not going to talk about actual substance. What they want to talk about is, well, he said this, what you think? Well, he said this, what you think? It's not about what he did. It's not about what he represents. It's not about how hard he went for the country when he was president or how hard he's going for the country now that he's running again. It's not about any of that. It's about, but he said, what about what he said? And what about sticks and stones? Listen, the only thing they care about is the idiotic things that that mainstream media is flooding the block with so that they can have some disdain for this individual by the name of Trump. That's it. That's it. That's it. I don't care if Vivek he's covering all corners right now. He really is, but they're going to be held on to those words. Those words are hurtful. This man wants to be a dictator. He said that he can shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and still not be arrested. We don't want anybody like that for a president. But you want a man like Biden for the president.
He wants to be a dictator for a day. It's hard when it's a guy who says you got to terminate the Constitution in order to overturn the results of an election. It's hard when it's a guy who's led an attempted coup in this country.
No. The derangement syndrome and focus on the actual problems we have to solve as a country. And you look at actually the border.
Boom. He bullied him right there. He said, "Get over TDS." And you know what? That completely went over Charlemagne's head. He was like, when Vivek said, "Get over the derangement syndrome," because usually people call that the Trump derangement syndrome. Anything Trump that they just hate everything Trump. Anything Trump. I just hate anything Trump. Right? And that's what Charlemagne has. He's like, but what about when he said, and then he said, and then he said, what about what he did? And then he did, and then he did, and then he did. Huh? How about that? How about you bring up with somebody? I thought somebody's actions meant more than what they say. That's what I thought. But maybe we still children in daggone grade school or something, because that's what I'm picking up right now.
The economy, you want to look at staying out of foreign wars? Yeah, I will take a president who has sharp elbows, who is actually able to accomplish those things.
So words don't matter?
Over somebody. I'm not.
This dude says, so words don't matter. Come on, Charlemagne. Charlemagne, let me tell you something, bro. I think that you are actually very intelligent. And, I mean, you don't really show it in these type of forums, to be honest with you. You think you do, but it's not helpful, especially not for your audience. Words do matter, but how much do you want words to matter in comparison to actual actions? In comparison to actions. Because Charlemagne, guess what? Charlemagne nor none of Charlemagne's listeners give a damn about the Capitol being stormed. I'm going to tell you that one more time. Charlemagne nor any of his supporters give a damn about the Capitol being stormed. They do not. Okay? Okay. But he have a position to argue. That's it. We supposed to be trying to solve things as men. Can we talk about something of substance? Like Vivek said, let's move on with something that could be helpful. But no, you want to talk about some damn, don't words matter? Come on, bro, grow the hell up. Like it's people like this, like that really hold us back, man. You gotta, we trying to grow up and talk about something that's really going to help the nation, and you talking about words matter. Come on, man.
I'm saying words don't matter.
Yes, you
Words
are.
do matter, but words taken out of context in a way. Am I going to say everything the same way that Donald Trump did? I don't know why I'm sitting here being questioned, again, what the entire media loves to do, on picking some word Trump said, and we're sitting here talking about that rather than a vision for the country.
Okay, well,
let's talk about the actual country.
Let's ask about this
Let's
for the
talk
vision of
about
the
the
country.
actual issues we're addressing
Okay,
as a
let's
country.
ask
Let's talk about the actual country. All right, let's see now. Charlemagne said, okay, fine. You want to talk about the actual country? Then let's talk about the actual country. Let's see if they actually talk about the country, which I doubt they're going to do.
About this for the vision
And
of the
look
country.
and yes, exactly. Let's
What's-
talk about the
what-
actual country.
What's the point of the GOP attaching themselves to Trump the way they have when he hasn't won anything since 2016?
You want to talk about the election. You don't want to talk about the country. I'm just guessing that Charlemagne just really don't care about politics too much. She's like, man, we got you here, bro. Let's talk about anything that you can probably talk about. But I'm not really, prepared for this conversation. So I'm going to throw something at you. What about the fact that GOP are just tied to his titty, but he hasn't won anything? So why are y'all picking him to run? Like, come on, man. We trying to get some real conversation from these guys.
The GOP attaching themselves to Trump is, I think, a bizarre framing where the GOP is electing a leader to lead our America First movement to the next level. And they're saying in droves that Donald Trump should be that leader. Now, how do we actually use that to accomplish something for our country? Our country, I think, made a poor decision in putting Joe Biden in office. I think the results speak for themselves. I think a lot of the economic numbers are a fallacy. Prices are higher. Wages haven't gone up to the same degree. Mortgage rates are higher. People live in tougher circumstances. We've got millions more who have entered this country illegally, taken up public resources that should be used on other purposes.
Now I want y'all to see something. Here's what happened when you have your opponent stumped. You get absolutely no objections. Crickets. You can literally hear a mice fart if Vivek was just to be quiet for a second. They have no objections to what he's saying. They know that Trump was a far better president than Biden. But they just want to talk about, but what about, he still didn't win anything. What about that? He still didn't win anything. It's like little kids out on the playground talking about, well, your mama ugly. Well, your father don't have no shoes. Well, your father got holes in his shoes. You don't have a red bike. I don't want a red bike. I got a blue bike. Well, I don't want a blue bike. I got a yellow bike. And my yellow bike faster than your blue bike. They sound like, come on, bro. Charlemagne, grow the hell up, man.
And yet, somehow, we are still focusing on some word that Donald Trump said as opposed to asking ourselves, how are we going to address that underlying reality?
He hasn't won anything since 2016.
Bruh, he brings it up again. He said he wanted to talk about the country. He brings up that same tired argument again.
So what's the
He
point?
won in 2016, and
And he
I think
hasn't
that they
won
robbed
anything
him.
since.
What? He ran one
2018,
election.
you lost the House.
He ran
2020,
one election.
2018, you lost the House. 2020, you lost the White House.
I think he's going to win in a landslide this year.
But what about sure? But he hasn't won anything
fairly
since
conducted election. I think he
2016.
wins in a landslide this year. Look, I think people voted for the policies. And at the end of the day, look, I'm looking to take many of those policies to the next level. That's what I was doing in my candidacy. But the people were clear. They want someone who's tried and true. And they want the policies we had from 2016 to 2020. That's what we're going to have in this country.
Now, Vivek, let me ask you a question. Now, you're here as a regular citizen, you said today, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, you're a cool guy. We can play basketball, pickleball, whatever you want. But what is next with Vivek? Why are you here?
See, that whole time, DJ Envy said, man, why are you here? Why are you here? Why the hell you think he there, bro? Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know about this, man. I'm gonna do the other side, or I'm gonna do the other part in a separate segment for you guys. Y'all let me know whatever y'all want me to know in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so. You're way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside of the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing so far. And thanks again. Also, if you want to learn how to grow a YouTube channel, make sure you hit me up with the word coach. Okay.